Were there biblical giants? So I saw another YouTuber comment on this hoard we have right here. This is the Kfar Monash hoard. As you can see, it contains a bunch of large-scale armor in the Egyptian style. It was found in a field and it has been dated to the early Bronze Age. Now, apparently, one of the arguments arguing that is that these were ceremonial weapons, that they were too large for people to use. However, this other YouTuber I've seen mentioned that maybe these could just be the weapons of biblical giants. So what are my thoughts on this? So for starters, having a giant as described in the Bible itself is actually not that big of a deal. Goliath was a giant, and there are people taller than him today. So I don't see much of a need for weapons of this size. Secondly, if you look at the time of Goliath of Gath, this is from the early Bronze Age. This is before Abraham arrives in the land of Canaan. This is when this would date to. It's the early Bronze Age. Now, that being said, we do have mention of the Rephaim in other sources outside of the Bible, notably in the Tell of Akat, where Daniel, king of Bassan, is known as the, quote, Rapha man. So there are examples of the Rephaim who are supposed to be giants in the Bible. That being said, a giant could just be a really tall person. Like 6-7 feet would have been considered a giant, and there are people today who, through genetic mutation, reach 9 feet tall. It is not that unbelievable. That being said, this hoard also has a lot of, regardless of what you believe about giants, I do believe that there were giants. I just don't necessarily think they were that tall. I think that the Israelite spies were exaggerating when they said we look like grasshoppers next to them. I think it was more a figure of speech. Not saying they weren't giants or that they weren't tall, but this assemblage does have a lot of other cultural significance as well. It shows, because of the Egyptian design, it shows the influence in Canaan in the early Bronze Age. So, for example, elsewhere we see evidence of Egyptian trade. For example, Abydos ware, which is Canaanite pottery. We find it in tombs in Egypt. We see at this time period the Serach of Narmer, the signature of the first pharaoh of Egypt, on clay pots here in the land of Israel, in the land of Canaan. And we also see this Egyptian-style weaponry right here in the land of Canaan in fields. So, yes, I think that there were biblical giants, personally. How big were these giants is another question. Are these strong? Were they just ceremonial? To my knowledge, I am not aware of any people who've examined these weapons to see if they were actually used as weapons. I'd be very interested if they were, considering their size, or how do they compare to the sizes of other spears, weapons at this time period. I'd love to hear if anyone has any more information. Anyway, this is the Kfar Monash hoard. These are just my thoughts. I'd love to revisit this question someday. If anyone has any papers, academic papers, peer-reviewed papers on this topic, please comment down below. I'd love to take a look. God bless and have a great day. And again, I'm a Catholic faithful to tradition. If you ever get a chance in your life, please check on SSPX Church. God bless.